Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days. For today's video, day 10 will take us to around the 13th of November, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe until around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at 732 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That will get us pretty much to the end of November. I shall get on with that for you in a moment, just to say that the first video release was our 6 AM upload. And we've also released European Outlook as well, so please check out those two vids if you'd like to see that. Like, share, subscribe on video. Thank you so much, everybody. But doing that, I hope you're having a lovely Thursday as well. Right, so beginning in the tropical Atlantic, we've got 3 areas of interest. We have got this yellow X just here, which is disturbance 1. Only a 10% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 and 5 days with that one. Don't have to worry too much there, I don't think. We've also got Tropical Storm Lisa, currently giving maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour across southern portions of Mexico and whatnot. So the current position of Lisa is just here. And Lisa is forecast to move out or back out into the southern Gulf of Mexico through the course of the weekend. What happens after that, I'm not sure. It only goes out to Saturday there. 1 PM Saturday. We can't see any further than that, but presumably Lisa will still be sort of in business in the tropical, in the Gulf of Mexico. So we wait and see. We wait and see if Lisa reactivates over the warm waters of the Gulf. And then we've also got Martin just here, Hurricane Martin, giving maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, Category 1 hurricane. This hurricane is forecast to move northwards and become a post-tropical feature sometime later today and into tomorrow. And then heading in towards the north and west of Scotland, actually, as a post-tropical storm area of low pressure by the time we get into the early part of next week. So that could give some wind and rain, especially to the north, in the early part of next week. Still waiting for data for November for the CET, not updated yet, so we can't bring any data for November. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks, the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Leeds. We're starting off still a little bit below average with the upper air temperatures at the moment. They're generally going to be trending upwards now, especially into next week, when an extended run of very mild weather seems likely, maybe even quite warm through the second week of November. Signs of a drop in the upper air temperatures as we get into the second half of the month. Might see things cooling down then, but certainly up to the second week of November and up to the middle of the month, looking pretty mild. Precipitation-wise, going to be a bit of dry weather, over the next couple of days, but from the weekend onwards, turning more unsettled. Not desperately wet, but there will be rain around, especially, I think, through the early part of next week. Temperature anomalies from the 3rd to the 11th of November are going to be above average, not just the UK, but through most parts of Europe. And precipitation anomalies from the 3rd to the 11th of November. A little bit wetter than average in the far south of the country, a little bit drier than average over in the east. The latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we're under a trough of low today, so we've got a trough within the 500 millibar flow through here. And the jet stream is pushed a little bit further southwards as well. That's the reason it's slightly cooler, which is most evident at night at the moment. Right, so looking at some chart data, this is how later you can make your own run, looking for midnight on Sunday. Next over low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. That's been plenty of wet and windy weather with it. I think that is going to be the remains of Martin, somewhere around there, Monday into Tuesday. Bring some further wet and windy conditions. And then we head on to the end of the You Can Make Your Run, which gets us to midnight on Thursday. And looking unsettled again, really. And drawing up a very mild southwesterly wind. The air with that is originating from the Azores. So it's what we call a long fetch southwesterly. And that will be lifting the temperature well and truly up into double digits, 18 Celsius and whatnot, by the second half of next week. But there will be further wind and rain involved in that, especially so for the north and west. Icon looks like this with low pressure again coming in from off the Atlantic through the early part of next week. Plenty of wet and windy weather. We know that some of that is associated with the current Hurricane Martin as well. We go into the middle of next week looking rather showery, but the second half of next week should see high pressure building up from the south, so that turns England and Wales drier anyway. Although Scotland and Northern Ireland would still be quite unsettled with these southwesterly winds bringing further rain at times. Very mild, I think, in the second half of next week with that scenario. GFS midnight run is all much of a muchness through the weekend and into next week. Properly wet and windy, low pressure well and truly in control of the weather. Then the second half next week sees a little bit of change as high pressure builds to our south and southeast. It starts to push the areas of low pressure away to the northwest. Still unsettled Scotland and Northern Ireland, but England and Wales turning drier. We're drawing up a long flex southerly southwesterly, so becoming very, very mild. That's how we get day 10. Look at that, back to the pattern we have on and off through the summer. Remember the pattern that gave us the really hot spell in July when we reached 40 degrees? It's not dissimilar, with high pressure sitting over to the east of the country, drawing up the wind from a long way south, so turns mostly dry, but also very, very mild. Of course, it's November rather than July, so we're not going to be seeing 40 degrees of that, but we'll probably get the temperature into the mid-teens Celsius, I would have thought, albeit nights might get a little bit cool if skies are clear and we start generating mist and fog patches and whatnot. So a pattern that could trigger an inversion, but technically it is a mild, warm area of high pressure that. We head on into the extended range with GFS midnight run. High pressure is in control, so we go mostly dry there around the middle part of the month and stay reasonably mild. With high pressure centrally located over the country, you probably see the temperature on the surface edging down, again most evident at night when we might start generating some mist and fog patches and whatnot. That's how we look at the very end of a GFS midnight run, gets us to the 19th of November, so still basically dominated by high pressure. GFS 6Z is again looking very unsettled through the early part of next week, plenty of wet windy weather to come. And then again we have that change in the second half of next week into the weekend of the 12th, 13th of November as high pressure takes over across the country and to our east. We bring up this very mild, if not warm air from the south once again. The high pressure is trying to reach northwards, so high pressure wants to go north actually, but it's nothing to reach to at the moment. No sort of blocking area of high pressure within the Arctic. So although this high pressure is trying to reach northwards, it doesn't really make it. It's trying to get itself to Scandinavia, but it doesn't really make it, and it just sort of ends up collapsing away, and we finish up bringing further low pressure back in. Actually, by the end of the GFS 6Z run, gets us to the 19th of November. Now, enjoy the video. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for everybody doing that. We only need to put on around 50 more subscribers now to get to 14.7k. So please give us a sub, tell friends and family to subscribe. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. GEM looks like this. Low pressure is coming in off the Atlantic through the weekend and the open up next week. Plenty of wet and windy weather to come. Then the second half of next week, high pressure starts to build up from the south, turns it drier for England and Wales, especially very mild, if not quite warm, with wind pumping up from the Azores and the Canary Islands and those sort of areas. By day 10, low pressure is just starting to bring some wetter and windy weather into the northwest, but England and Wales staying mostly dry and really mild as well, temperatures into the teens Celsius with that one. And then finally we've got the ECM at WF, which is all much of a muchness through the weekend and the open of next week. Plenty of wet and windy weather to come, and then the second half next week we get that change as high pressure builds over the continent, starts to push northwards, so the areas of low pressure move away towards Greenland and Iceland along the jet stream, and we turn mostly dry by day 10, 13th of November, and we're bringing up this really mild, if not warm, southerly, southwesterly once again. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. So plenty of rain coming and going over the next few days, but we're going to go further into next week and the trend will be towards drier weather. Still plenty of rain in the north and west, but it turns drier for England and Wales, and then by day 10, actually all areas are looking significantly drier. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. Gets us to the 13th of November, 15 members of the ECM ensembles, including the operation run with high pressure reaching in Across the country, mostly dry and very mild with that. Winds coming up from a southerly direction. Low pressure getting pushed out into the North Atlantic. 10 just here with high pressure again. Right over top of the country, mostly dry. Very mild. 10 again with high pressure. More or less over to the east of the country. They're all looking very mild, those options. 6 here with low pressure towards the northwest. High pressure the south. That's a little bit more unsettled, but it's still mild. Winds coming in from the southwest. Number 6 here again, just dominated by high pressure, and 4 high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west. Maybe a little bit more showery, but the upshot is that nearly all the options are anticyclonic, and they're nearly all very mild scenarios as well. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 18th of November. 14 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure over to the east of the country. Still technically a mild breeze that might be bringing in a little bit more of a continental flow, so it might be going a little bit more towards frost and fog, that sort of thing. Gruesome twosome. 13 here with low pressure to our west and northwest, high pressure to our southeast. That's going to be very mild. We'll have a southwesterly wind with that. 11 having the high pressure a little bit more towards Scandinavia, so that could be actually bringing in something a bit colder from the east. And then we've got 8 down here with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the southwest, and so that's going to be relatively mild with winds off the Atlantic. And 5 with high pressure over, slightly to our northwest. That's going to be mainly dry. Could be a little bit cooler with that option too, if the wind is coming around the high pressure from a northerly direction. I have to say, don't look as though from like late next week onwards, we are going back towards high pressure again though. So maybe the dry spell is about to return. We shall have to wait and see about that. 732 finally, and then we're done. These are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period it takes from the 3rd to the 9th of November. The coming week will have low pressure out in the Atlantic, and that will be bringing plenty of wet and windy weather in with it too. Week 2 will be the 10th to the 16th of November with high pressure over the country and slightly to our east, low pressure out to west. So that's going to be mainly dry and will be very mild as well, with winds coming in from a southerly direction. Week 3 will take the high pressure a bit further north from the 17th to the 3rd of November. So you find the high pressure moving northwards to reside in the North Atlantic towards Iceland and Scandinavia. Low pressure to our south. I would think that'll be turning a bit cooler, maybe quite cold even, with winds coming in from an easterly direction. And then week 4 is going to be the 24th to the 30th of November. The high pressure then is out to our west and northwest. Round that, we could be bringing something a little bit cooler from a northerly or a northeasterly direction. So maybe the second half of November gets a bit colder, but the first half looking very mild, perhaps a month or 2 halves or something like that. We shall see. Right, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, then please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe too. And we shall get ourselves to 14.7k. And our ultimate target, of course, is 15k. When we get to 15k, we are going to do a giveaway. 15,000 subscribers. So, yeah, got a want to go for. Have to think about that. But next million target, anyway, is at 14.7k. Please give us a sub. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, that's it for today's video. Just to tell you what's coming up tomorrow. So we're going to start off with the 6 a.m. upload. We'll have JMA Friday and 10 to 14 day as well. And then the return of the Friday Night Live, Season 3 of Friday Night Live will be back after 10 p.m. tomorrow. Though that's going to be a bit of a laugh. We shall see what happens. But Friday Night Live streams are on their way back in just over 24 hours' time. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. You enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And for this video, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.